Thank you for joining me, whether you're practicing at home because you're one of my students, or you're just stumbling upon this and checking it out, or maybe you are interested in joining a chair yoga class and you'd like to see what it is all about. That's perfect. Glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. This afternoon, we're going to begin with just basic posture in standard yoga. If you've practiced before, it is Tadasana or the mountain pose. It is not much different for seated yoga postures. It is also Tadasana, the seated mountain pose, as opposed to just mountain pose. So all you need is a chair, preferably not a chair with arms that can obstruct your free movement. As long as it is a sturdy chair, then you're good to go. You want to sit forward on your chair enough so that your back is unsupported. Difficult to see behind me here, but I have a good probably 6 to 8 inches of gap between the back of the chair and my back. Sit with an upright spine. You also would like to see your heels basically aligned directly below your knees and your feet hip width apart. And if that's something that you hadn't considered before, hip width distance, take your left heel and turn it in and butt it up against the midfoot of your right foot, and then just simply pivot your left foot out so that it is parallel to the right, and that is essentially hip width distance apart. A couple of other features of Siddha Tadasana, your shoulders should be aligned upright with your spine and set back a bit. An easy way to ensure that your shoulders are properly set is to begin with your arms dangling to your side, and you raise your arms approximately sort of straight out on either side. Your balance may be a little different than mine. Turn your palms up, and you should feel a little downward pressure on the shoulder joints, which is setting them perfectly the way they ought to be. And once you've done that, you can let your hands come back down to your sides or leave them resting palms down on your thighs. The last element of Siddha Tadasana is to simply tuck your chin back a little bit so that everything from top to bottom or from top to chair seat is essentially in alignment. Too often in our daily lives of hours and hours of seated screen time, depending on our job, we sit hunched forward looking over screens, and that's an unnatural posture. So just sort of tuck your chin consciously back a little bit into proper alignment with your shoulders and with your spine and directly below with the hips. Now we're ready to begin. So typically I begin a chair yoga sequence, whether it's at home or even in classes. A great way to warm up, energize the body, and get ready for whatever comes next is to do some sun salutation sequences. Similar to standing sun salutations, there are several different seated sun salutation sequences. Say that 5 times fast. I typically have three that I teach students and that I use in my own daily practice. And I just label them A, B, and C. So I will begin with sun salutation A and then move into B and then to C. And that is essentially my quick warm up. And then we'll get into a bit of a sequence. And then we'll finish off maybe with a few minutes of quiet meditation of some sort. Okay, so we begin with arms dangling at our sides. And just one quick word before I begin the first sequence. If at any time you feel pain or resistance or stiffness, listen to that message from your body and maybe just stop for a moment. It may also be that you decide simply to move in a slightly different way from what I am instructing. So definitely take instructions from any yoga instructor as suggestions for you, and you listen to the message you receive from your body about whether it's appropriate for you at any given time or not. There's certainly nothing wrong with observing a little bit, with backing off a little bit, or with modifying whatever the instruction is to meet your current physical needs. All right, let's begin. On a nice inhale, we raise our arms all the way up above our heads. If you wish a little added stretch, you can bring your palms together above your head or leave them shoulder width apart. On your next exhalation, we're going to fold forward over the right leg and we're going to interlace our hands beneath the right knee. And inhale, raising that right foot off the floor. Exhaling, bringing it back to the floor and interlacing our hands beneath the left knee. We will inhale, raising that foot off the floor, and exhale, setting it back down, folding forward as we continue to exhale. Hands to shins or ankles, whatever you can reach today. Hold on with those hands. Inhale, nice little arch to the spine, looking straight forward or maybe even upward a little bit as you hold on. Exhale, let that head dangle and fold forward. Swing your arms behind you to grab the chair seat. And on your next inhale, hold that chair seat in a nice little arch to the back, looking up. And exhale, folding forward, hands back to ankles, feet, or even touching the floor, depending on your flexibility today. Inhale, rising to a straight spine, arms all the way overhead. That is one repetition of sun salutation A. Now let's do two more. Exhaling, hands interlacing beneath the right knee. Inhale up, exhale down, hands beneath the left knee. Inhale up, exhale down, folding forward, hands to shins, hold. Inhale, looking straight forward. Exhale, folding forward, put your hands to the chair seat behind you. Hold on, and inhale and stretch that back. Nice arch to the back, looking straight forward or even upwards. Exhale and fold forward. Let your hands and head dangle. Inhale all the way up to an upright position. Hands above your head. Palms together. That's two repetitions. One more. Folding forward over the right side. Clasping beneath the right knee. Inhale up. Exhale down. Clasp left knee. Inhale up. Exhale down. Folding forward. Hands to shins. Inhale up, nice stretch, looking forward. Exhale, sliding those hands behind you to grab the chair seat. Inhale, arch your back and look forward. Exhale, folding forward, dangling those arms and head. Inhaling all the way to an upright position, hands above us, palms together. And as we exhale, we bring those arms back down to the position they started from, dangling at our sides. That's 3 repetitions of sun salutation A. Let's do a couple of other forms that I often practice. The next one is sun salutation B, surprise, surprise. So follow along if you wish, or observe one time and then join me when you feel ready to. Here we go. We're going to inhale and raise our arms straight out in front of us. We're going to interlace our fingers as we clasp hands. Then we're going to flip so that our palms are facing outward. And on our next inhalation, we're going to raise those hands straight above our head. Nice little stretch there. On our next exhalation, we will exhale and lean to the right. Inhale back to center. Exhale, leaning left. Inhale, back to center. When we exhale, we will drop our arms and swing them behind us at the same time as we put our right heel straight out in front of us, touching the floor. On our next inhalation, arms come all the way up above our heads again. And as we exhale, we bring the right foot back to its starting position, hands at our sides. Inhale, arms up in front of us, clasping hands. Flip palms outward. Inhale up. Exhale, leaning right. Inhale up to center. Exhale, leaning left. Inhale up to center. Exhaling, arms coming down. At the same time, our left leg straightens out, heel to floor, arms swing behind you. And on the reverse, inhaling those arms all the way back up overhead. And as we inhale next, arms coming down as the left leg comes back to its starting position, as do the arms. That is one repetition of sun salutation B. Let's do two more. Inhale up, arms out in front, hands clasped, flip palms facing outward. Inhale up, exhale leaning right, inhale to center, exhale leaning left, inhale up, exhale letting arms fall as the right leg comes out straight, heel to floor, swing those arms behind you, and inhale, bringing them all the way back up again. On the exhale, arms coming back down, right foot back to starting position, inhaling, arms up out in front of us, clasping hands, flip the palms outward, inhale up, exhale leaning to the right, inhale up to center, exhale leaning left, inhale up to center, exhaling arms all the way down as the left leg pops out straight in front of us, heel to floor, and arms swing behind us. Inhaling all the way back up with those arms. And when we exhale again, the arms coming down and the left leg coming back to its starting point. That's 2 repetitions. Let's do one more. Inhaling up, arms out in front, hands clasped, flip to palms facing outward. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, leaning to the right. Inhale up. Exhale, leaning to the left. Inhale up to center. Exhale, letting those arms come down as the right leg goes straight out in front of us, heel to floor. Swing those arms behind you as far as comfortable before you inhale and raise those arms all the way back up above your head. And when we exhale, the right leg comes back to its starting point and up on the inhale again, straight out in front, clasping hands, flip to palms out. Inhale all the way up. Exhale to the right, inhale to center, exhale to the left, inhale to center, exhale, letting your arms slowly come down again, your left leg out in front of you, heel to floor, swing those arms behind you as far as you can, and on the inhale, raise those arms back up above your head. And when we exhale again, arms coming down and left leg also back to starting position. There, 3 repetitions of sun salutation B. Both of these are meant to warm up the body and get the energy flowing. And hopefully, if you're moving along with me, you feel that happening already. There is sun salutation C. Let me walk you through one. Feel free to watch and observe and join in if you wish. And then we'll do a couple more on top of that just to solidify the movement practice. Okay? If you are ready, we begin sun salutation C with palms together at heart center. On an inhale, we inhale and raise our arms above our head and lean back a little bit. Not lean back onto the back of the chair, but just a nice arch to the back and stretch those arms backwards behind you as well. And on the exhale, we're going to lean folding forward, and on the outside of the right knee, clasp our hands together. When we inhale, we'll raise that leg off the floor as we also lean back and look to the sky or the ceiling if we're inside. When we exhale, we will hold that knee up, but we will move our forehead in the direction of that knee. Doesn't matter if you can touch that knee or come anywhere near that knee. It's the movement itself that is the important thing. As we inhale, we will allow that foot to drop back to the floor. We'll raise our arms and lean back. Again, nice little arch to the back. Exhale, folding forward, this time clasping our hands on the outside of the left knee. We'll inhale, raising that knee off the floor and leaning backwards, looking up. And exhale, pointing that forehead in the direction of the left knee this time. And inhaling, release the leg, arms back above your head, lean back. And on the exhalation, we fold forward from the hips and hands to shins, maybe ankles, maybe touch your toes, maybe even touch the floor if you're feeling flexible today. On your next inhalation, returning to an upright seated position, arms above your head and lean back. Nice arch to the spine. And on your next exhalation, bring your palms together and back to heart center. That's one repetition of Sun Salutation C. Shall we do a couple more? Let's go. Inhaling, raising the arms, leaning back. Exhaling over the right leg, clasp the right knee. Inhale, lifting off the floor as you lean back and look up. Exhale, forehead towards the knee. Inhale, drop that leg, arms above and a stretch leaning back. Exhale over the left leg, clasp around the outside of the knee. Inhale, raising the leg, leaning back. Exhale, forehead toward the knee. Inhale, drop that leg, arms above our heads and nice lean back. Exhale, folding forward as far as comfortable for you. Inhaling back to upright spine, palms together above the head. Exhaling back to heart center. That's two, one more. Inhaling, arms above our heads as we lean back gently. Exhale, folding forward, clasp right knee. Inhale, raising the leg, leaning back. Exhale, forehead toward the knee. Inhale, leg down, arms up. Exhale, over the left leg, clasping the left knee. Inhale, up, leaning back. Exhale, forward to knee. Inhale, release the leg, arms above, leaning back. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, back to an upright position, arms above our head, nice lean backwards. And on the exhalation, palms together and slowly back to heart center. Sun Salutation C. So there you have it. 3 repetitions each of Sun Salutations A, B, and C. That's a typical part of my morning routine. When I get up in the morning, I sit and do usually 5 repetitions each of Sun A, B, and C, and a few other postures, which for me varies from day to day based on where I receive messages from my body that a little bit of extra stretch or twist or movement will be helpful to get me ready for the day ahead. So I'm just going to go through a relatively short sequence here of some of my go-to standard postures as part of a morning routine to get myself loose, limber, energized, and ready for a full day ahead. So from our seated Tadasana position, which I am now in, but you may feel a little reset your hip width of your feet. Maybe you want to reset your shoulder posture, retuck the chin, whatever it may be, but everything in alignment is the way to go always to begin. So from this posture, we're going to inhale and raise our arms above our head, palms facing forward. And when we exhale, we're going to bring our arms down so that the top part of our arms are straight out, palms facing outward. And you want to do a little backwards push with those arms and pinch the shoulder blades together. This is called cactus posture. So we exhale, sorry, inhale, arms up, palms together, and exhale, we bring them back down and pinch those shoulder blades. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, palms facing forward, pinching those shoulder blades together. Let's just do 2 more. Inhale all the way up. Exhale down, pinch those shoulder blades. 1 more. Inhale up and exhale down, pinch those shoulder blades. Inhale up and release, and we'll just gradually, slowly Bring those arms back down and let the palms face down on the thighs. So that was the cactus posture, great for if you have stiffness of the shoulders, stiffness across the top of the back. I typically also will do one or more loosening neck postures. So in terms of my go-tos, there's two. One would be, I call it ear to shoulder. So I'm just leaning first always to the right with yoga asanas, if you're familiar with yoga practice. I'm just imagining reaching my earlobe to my right shoulder, and the degree to which you are able to lean either right or left will vary from individual to individual based on our life experiences and probably foolish youthful activities as well. Once you have leaned as far as you feel resistance and hopefully not pain, but you will stop at that point and just hold and sort of breathe into it. You'll feel a nice stretch of the muscles up the opposite side, in this case, my left side of my neck. And on my next inhalation, I'm just going to raise my head back to upright position. And when I exhale again, I'm going to lean towards the left. And again, we all have a varying degree of flexibility in the neck based on the life that we've lived and other factors. Take some nice, slow, deep breaths in this leaned over posture. Just feel the nice, healthful stretch up the right side of your neck. And on your next inhalation, inhale back to center. We'll do one more neck stretching posture before we move on to do a couple for the arms, a little bit of core, and we'll move down to the legs before we finish. So let's just allow the chin to sit towards the chest as far forward as you can nod your head. And from this starting point, and I always go with these neck circles, starting clockwise movement, but you can just pick a direction. It's not super important. Just nice, slow circles of the neck. And you may definitely feel, depending on your age, I suppose, some snap, crackle, and pop as you do these slow loosening neck circles, which is fine as long as that does not include any degree of pain. Yoga is a practice of no pain, no pain. It is not like going to do a weight resistance workout at the gym, where no pain, no gain is often used as a motivation to people to push on and push through pain. That is not the case with yoga. When we feel pain, it is a clear message from our body that we have moved in a way that's not appropriate at this time, and we should stop. Always listen to your body. The next time your chin returns to the chest, reverse direction, whichever direction you started in, go the other way. Nice, slow circles of the neck. Nothing fancy about this, but really great to loosen up neck stiffness in a variety of directions. We'll do a couple of more nice slow circles here. Take your time. One more trip around. And when your chin comes back to your chest, you may call that enough circlings of the neck and stop. Raise your head back up to forward looking position. So we've returned to our initial posture of Siddha Tadasana. Now let's do a little bit of a stretch of the spine, which will also work in some movement with our arms as well. So we're going to start with the seated twist here. We're going to start with left hand on right knee. Your right hand can either just go to the very back corner of the chair you're seated in. Maybe if your chair has upright posts, to the posts. If you want a little bit more stretch, try grabbing the seat behind you to whatever degree you can comfortably twist to the right. Wherever you end up holding, we're just going to take some nice, slow, deep breaths in this position. This is a nice, gentle twist of the spine for mobility. You may also feel it somewhat in the lower back of the hips. And depending on your mobility and flexibility, you might even feel this a little bit in the shoulders and arms in terms of where you feel the stretch. On your next exhalation, you can release and turn back to your seated Tadasana posture. What we do on the right, we do on the left. So now let's take our right hand to the left knee. And again, find that position for your left hand this time, whether it's the back corner of the seat of your chair, grabbing the upright post if there is one, or even twisting a little bit more and just grabbing the seat of the chair somewhere behind you to the extent that you're able to twist. And we're just going to hold this for, again, a few slow, deep breaths. My morning routines are not about cardio workout. Typically, they're about loosening up tight joints, about maximizing my own mobility for the day, and about just stretching out whatever feels tight, generally speaking. On your next exhalation, release from that posture and swing back around to facing forward, our seated Tadasana posture. Um, if arms and shoulders are tight, sore, stiff for you, we can try just some arm circles. So starting with our arms hanging loose at our sides, we'll inhale up, arms essentially straight out. We can, I'm looking at myself in the camera and realizing how off balance that looks. Just arm circles are exactly as described. So a nice slow circular motion with your arms straight, keeping your wrists and hands pointed straight out. The degree of your circle, the size of your circle, is related to the level of challenge in terms of a nice stretch, in terms of mobility. If you are playing around with how big or how small your arm circles should be, wherever you feel that resistance, typically it's in the backward and upward part of the circle, that's determining, that's your body telling you there's your maximum circle size. If you want to back it off a little bit and make slightly smaller circles, and we can also reverse the directionality of our circle as well and feel a different kind of stretch up in the upper arm muscles and also through the shoulder, across the top of the back. And again, playing around with the size of the circle as you do those arm circles is again directly related to the level of challenge and speaks to our mobility on any given day. And we can exhale and release those arms, let them come back to dangle at our sides. If you're feeling any kind of a stiffness or burn there, you might even want to just gently sort of shake out those shoulders and let the arms go limp and shake them out a little bit, just relieving any tension that you've worked through with those arm circles. For the next core posture here is called a core roll, and I will typically do this one either with hands on the hips or hands just resting, palms facing down on top of the thigh. Um, it is important that we are going to be rolling from the hip or pivoting from the hip, like when we do a forward fold. Essentially, we are going to make some slow circles with our with our hip as the pivot point. So our core is engaged, our spine is upright, our neck is upright and in alignment with the spine, and they are turning on the axis of the hip joints. Doesn't quite matter what direction you start your core roll, just like arm rolls or neck rolls. I usually start going clockwise, habit, I suppose. But we are going to change direction. So on your next roll around, you can reverse direction and roll in the opposite direction from whichever direction you started. Similar to arm circles, where you feel resistance, if you feel pain, that is a clear message from your body to back this one off a little bit, which could look like a smaller roll in terms of making a smaller overall circle with your torso. It could mean stopping and catch your breath and try a couple of more before we finish. Or it could mean that this day, this particular posture, you just stop and observe, catch your breath, and get ready to move on and try the next one. So let's just do one more roll around here, folks. And when you get back to the forward part of your roll, you may stop, release from that posture, and return to seated Tadasana. Let's work a little bit down the body from core. And so focusing on hip, leg, and we will finish off with a little bit of ankle movement and foot movement. So on this one, we're going to, on an exhalation, fold forward over the right leg, clasp the outside of the knee, and when we inhale, we'll raise that leg above the floor. And on our next exhalation, we're going to slide the left hand down to the ankle and gently maneuver the ankle to rest atop the left knee. Okay. This will look different for everyone. For some of you, maybe the hip is so tight and immobile that your knee is up here somewhere. For some of us, maybe here, some of us here, and some of us maybe this is as far as my right hip will allow me. Some of you maybe even are putting your hip so that it looks like you've got a slight down angle even. If you want to put a little extra challenge here, in terms of the tension on the hip, because it's a hip opening exercise. Place your right hand palm facing down on that right knee on the top side. Don't press down. Just let the weight of your palm atop that knee be the added little bit of weight that challenges that muscle and see if it moves any further or loosens up any. We stay in this position for as long as you like, really. The longer, the better. I generally at least 6 to 8 nice, long, slow, deep breaths on each side. It's a great hip opening exercise, and hip mobility is big for a lot of us, for me in particular. Left hip more so than right. The other thing that you can do here on each side, and you saw me do it a little bit already, it's just, and I call it flapping the wing, just exercise that mobility of the hip joint a little bit and flap the knee up and down to the extent that you're able to do, either nice and slow and gentle like this, or a little bit of a steady rhythm. This one done regularly, consistently over time can vastly improve hip mobility. Just remember, listen to your body. If that hip is screaming at you not to do this, then don't do this. Okay. Just doing this without the hand even on the knee to add anything, this is fine. If this is what you can manage at whatever angle your hip is allowing your knee to settle or not, is fine. We start somewhere and we build from there. So to release from this, I usually would put my right hand below the knee and my left hand either below the left foot or sneak it in under the ankle. And I just gently guide that foot back down to the floor. And always what we do on the right, we do on the left. So we exhale and hands outside, interlaced outside the left knee. We inhale, lifting that off the floor. This time the right hand will slide down to the ankle and bring it across and gently place that ankle on, this time, the right knee. You can definitely see that for me, my left hip is not nearly as mobile as the right. It is extremely common for most people to notice some left-right side difference. Mine is directly related to an old motorcycle injury from long ago, my foolish youth. If you want that little extra stretch on the hip joint, palm down, left one on top of the left knee. No pressure added, just the weight of your hand there provides that extra stretch. And again, we sit here for, I'm going to say, at least 6 to 8 nice, slow, deep breaths, even longer. If this feels great, like a nice relief, a nice stretch, and it feels good to your body and your body's asking for it, stay longer, hang out. You can even also do that little flapping motion if you want to just practice your range of motion with that hip joint, or just let it settle there with or without the hand. If you don't want to add the hand, just let it dangle or place it atop the upper thigh, whatever's comfortable for you. And then again, when we're ready to release, I usually support the knee. I usually support the ankle, hand underneath both joints, and then just gently make sure that comes back down to the floor in a slow, gentle fashion, and not as a clunk and down to the floor, especially if you've gotten something like pins and needles or something going on there because of the way you just moved and you're not typically used to doing that. Okay, a couple of more nice slow stretching ones for joints before we finish off. A hamstring stretch is one that I often will use. And again, I decide in the moment most mornings after I do my sun salutation A, B, and C, what's going to feel good for my body. Depends on where my body is complaining, right? Some days it's shoulder, some days lower back, some days left hip, some days right ankle, and we focus on where the focus needs to be. So for hamstring stretch, um, we're going to start with the right leg extended out in front of us, heel touching the floor. We're going to put our hands together atop the opposite knee, so the left knee, and we fold forward to whatever extent we feel we can. And if you want to add a little bit of more of a stretch, arch the toes of the right foot back towards you and just feel the nice stretch up the back of the calf, up the hamstring. And of course, the deeper the fold, the greater the stretch. And this is another one that we hang out for some time to maximize the loosening of those muscles with a nice even stretch. 6 to 8 slow breaths is fine. Longer if it feels good, shorter if it doesn't. And as we release from that, we return to an upright position and bring the right foot back to its starting position. And what we do on the right, we do on the left. So left leg out in front of us, heel to the floor, hands together atop the opposite knee, the right knee in this case, and we fold forward from the hip. And again, it's to our own degree of flexibility. If you want to deepen the stretch of those calf muscles and the hamstring, arch the toes of that left foot back towards yourself. And we hang out for nice, slow, deep breaths. Probably 6 to 8 will do it. Typically in yoga, those breaths are inhalations and exhalations through the nose. We shouldn't be feeling like we're panting through the mouth, like we're running a marathon. Shouldn't breathe like that when you're running a marathon either, by the way, but that's a totally different subject. And when we release, it's just on an inhalation that we return to our upright seated posture and bring the left leg back to its starting position. We'll end off with a leg extension that includes an ankle rotation. And it's as simple as it sounds. We will extend a leg, and I always start with the right side. And once that leg is extended, some rotations of the ankle, and then we can reverse the rotation. And this is another one like the neck circles. You may well be experiencing some snap, crackle, and pop. And as long as that does not include pain, that's not problematic. Nice way to loosen up stiff joints. And we release on an exhalation just by lowering that foot back to its starting position. And on our next big inhalation, we will extend out the left leg in front of us. And again, choosing a direction, some ankle rotations. I don't know how much my mic is picking up, but I'm definitely getting snap, crackle, and pop on that one. Reverse the direction of your rotation. See how that feels. And on an exhalation, return that foot back to its starting position as well. So there you are. It's a relatively simple routine.